Over the Detroit River, the new Gordie Howe International Bridge stretches 853 meters, connecting Ontario, Canada to Michigan, USA. This bridge, costing $6.4 billion, is now the longest cable-stayed bridge in North America. Started in June 2018, the project has involved teams from both Canada and the US. They've been working together to finish this massive structure, which promises to make travel easier and boost trade. But how exactly is this bridge a game changer for travel and trade between these two nations? Today at Ultimate Megabuilds, we will look into how this bridge was built, any updates from the past video we covered, what it means for the future of travel and trade in the region. The Detroit-Windsor border has been an important crossing for nearly 200 years, starting with its role in the Underground Railroad in the 19th century, after Canada abolished slavery in 1833. As Detroit grew into a major manufacturing hub, particularly during the rise of the automobile industry, the need for efficient cross-border transportation increased. The Michigan Central Railway Tunnel and the Ambassador Bridge were the first major solutions to this challenge, but growing traffic volumes eventually exceeded their capacity. The Gordie Howe Bridge aims to address these limitations. With 6 lanes for vehicles and a dedicated path for pedestrians and cyclists, it will provide a much-needed boost to cross-border transportation. Its modern design includes environmental considerations, like ensuring no piers are placed in the river to protect the waterway. This reduces the environmental impact, while also cutting down on vehicle emissions by reducing border wait times. But that is not all. The bridge will also increase trade efficiency by providing direct connections to major highways on both sides of the border, the Highway 401 in Canada and Interstate 75 in the US. The Ambassador Bridge is currently the busiest international border crossing in North America, handling over 4 million vehicles every year. This accounts for about 24% of all merchandise trade between the US and Canada. Meanwhile, the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel sees around 1 million vehicles annually. However, both crossings are old and struggling to keep up with traffic demands. One of the biggest problems is the poor connection to major highways. For example, vehicles crossing the Ambassador Bridge from Michigan's I-75 have to navigate through Windsor's city streets, dealing with traffic lights and congestion before they can reach Ontario's Highway 401. This adds time, costs, and frustration to an already busy trade route. To address this, the US and Canadian governments formed the Binational Transport Partnership in the early 2000s. Between 2001 and 2003, studies were done to examine the need for a new crossing. By 2004, the idea for a new bridge was officially proposed. After years of environmental reviews, both countries gave the green light in 2009. In 2011, work began on the Herb Gray Parkway, a $1.4 billion extension of Highway 401 that would connect directly to the new bridge. The real breakthrough came in June 2012, when Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper and Michigan Governor Rick Snyder signed an agreement to push the project forward. Shortly after that, the Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority was set up to manage the construction and operation of the new bridge, bringing the plan closer to reality. However, despite progress on the Gordie Howe International Bridge, the project faced significant opposition from Manuel Maroon, the billionaire owner of the Ambassador Bridge. Maroon was concerned that the new crossing would threaten his monopoly on the Detroit-Windsor route. In 2011, he launched an aggressive campaign against the project, spending millions on ads. By 2012, he had poured over $30 million into promoting a constitutional amendment in Michigan that would require voter approval for any new international bridge, effectively aiming to block the Gordie Howe project. Maroon also filed lawsuits against both the US and Canadian governments, arguing that his business had exclusive rights to the crossing. To maintain control, he proposed building a second Ambassador Bridge, which he would privately own. Despite these efforts, the project continued to move forward. In 2013, the Obama administration gave Michigan the go-ahead to build the new bridge, and in 2014, the US Coast Guard issued the final construction permit. On May 14, 2015, the new bridge was officially named the Gordie Howe International Bridge, honouring the Canadian hockey legend. While lawsuits dragged on, by 2016 Maroon's legal challenges were dismissed. He continued to resist by holding on to key properties needed for the bridge's construction, but in May 2018, the Michigan Court of Appeals ruled against him, allowing the government to move forward with expropriations. Finally, in July 2018, the Bridging North America Consortium was selected to design, build and operate the bridge, marking the beginning of a new era for cross-border transportation. The bridge will be supported by two A-shaped towers, each standing about 721 feet tall. These towers are slightly shorter than the Golden Gate Bridge towers and about 70% of the height of the Eiffel Tower. The bridge will have 6 lanes, 3 for traffic heading into Canada and 3 for the US-bound vehicles. It also includes an 11.8-foot wide lane for cyclists and pedestrians, which will link up with existing trails and bike paths on both sides. With a clearance of 150 feet above the Detroit River, the bridge will allow for safe passage of large ships. It will also have 5,249 feet of approach bridges, connecting the main structure to the US and Canadian ports of entry. On the US side, the port of entry will cover 168 acres, featuring over 323,000 square feet of building space, 36 inspection lanes and landscaped areas. On the Canadian side, 4 new ramps will connect directly to I-75, helping improve traffic flow and reduce border congestion. As part of the Gordie Howe International Bridge project, I-75 will get a major upgrade. A 1.86-mile section of the highway will be rebuilt and widened to handle more traffic. 4 new road bridges and 5 pedestrian bridges will also be added, improving access across the highway. To help reduce noise for nearby neighbourhoods, concrete noise walls between 10 and 20 feet high will be installed along the route. On the Canadian side, the port of entry will cover about 131 acres, with over 129,000 square meters of building space. It will have 24 primary inspection lanes, 16 toll booths, and 24.7 acres of landscaped areas, making it the largest port of entry in Canada. This port will connect directly to the Herb Gray Parkway and Highway 401, making cross-border traffic smoother and faster. Most of the funding comes from the Canadian federal government, with additional support from the US federal government and the state of Michigan for the I-75 upgrades. To help pay for the project, tolls will be collected at the Canadian port of entry. Once completed, the Gordie Howe International Bridge will bring multiple benefits. It will provide a seamless connection between the US and Canada, reducing congestion and cutting down border crossing times by 11 to 18 minutes. This improvement in efficiency will also lower vehicle emissions, positively impacting the environment. The bridge will offer an important alternative in case other crossings are closed, helping to keep traffic flowing smoothly. It is expected to accommodate up to 26,500 vehicles daily by 2025, a significant increase from 18,500 in 2016. Designed for heavy use, it is built to stand against harsh weather and climate conditions with state-of-the-art customs and border facilities enhancing security and safety. Sustainability is also a priority. The bridge is made with durable, resource-efficient materials, giving it a service life of 125 years. It will feature energy-saving LED lights, and natural lighting in buildings will cut energy consumption by 32%. The design includes green roofs, drought-resistant plants, and efforts to protect endangered species along the river. A special falcon nesting box will also be installed to support local wildlife. The project will also invest $23 million into local communities on both sides of the border, funding parks, recreation centres and community spaces. It's expected to create about 2,500 jobs, giving a boost to the local economy. Since construction began on October 5, 2018, the Gordie Howe International Bridge has made solid progress. In 2019, early work focused on clearing contaminated land to prepare for major construction. By 2020, the foundation work for the bridge towers was in progress and new pedestrian bridges over I-75 were completed. Although the COVID-19 pandemic caused delays and material shortages, work on the bridge continued steadily. By the end of 2020, the foundations for the towers were completed, allowing work on the towers themselves to start in early 2021. Throughout 2021 and 2022, major progress was made. By March 2022, the legs of the bridge towers were completed on both sides of the Detroit River, and work on the road deck for the approach bridges began in October 2022. By the end of that year, the towers reached 492 feet in height, and the installation of cables started in early 2023. In mid-2024, the final deck section was placed, connecting the US and Canadian sides. Although the main structure is now finished, there are still a few tasks left, such as tightening the cables, paving the road deck, and installing fire protection and electrical systems. Construction is expected to be completed by fall 2025, when the bridge will be fully operational, improving traffic flow and benefiting both the environment and local economies. Well, that's all we have for this mega bridge project. Let us know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe to Ultimate Mega Builds for more in-depth reviews of projects around the world. We'll be back soon with another fascinating video.